Yum, yum!
All right, so welcome to part two of the rig fitting video. This time we're going to explore the animation controls and how to set those up so it's easy to animate your character. You can build the most elegant rig in the whole wide world that does amazing things, but if you make it complicated for your animator to use it, then you won't get anywhere. You really do have to get it so that it's out of their way as much as possible so they can focus on performance. So here we have kind of a starting point of all of the facial controls. I'm going to turn the fitting stuff off so we kind of get to this clean view. And what I've done is to just simplify the discussion. I've only weighted the lip line just to show how this stuff would work, but I've got this in the background so you can see. All right, so you go, all right, we have all these things in place. How do animators interact with my rig? What do they see? How do they work? So our first steps, we go to our groups panel here. We can go through and select the groups that we want here. So we could say, hey, go into the groups list, show the channel sets. In this case, if I take my mouth corner here, I can select this, and if I lift, right, it's going to lift and move this mouth corner up. And I can go ahead and turn off this, so just a little easier for us to see what's going on. And they could go here and look at the right. Don't have the cheek hooked up right now. Do I want to move the mouth up and down? Do I want to push it forward and backward? Do I want to twist it? All these controls are in place, and this is effective, right? This would work. But you want to be able to, if you want to shed everything, and you want to look at just what you're working on the scene and not have all these panels in the way, having the groups list can be, an impediment. Not the end of the world. Every animator, like every rigger, like any artist, has their own workflows. So I played around with, how can we change this? How we can make it a little easier? So MODO has this idea of command regions, and let me actually go to this and kill that, right? Which allows you to specify pieces of geometry, faces, and say, hey, when I click on this face, do fire a command, right? And if you turn on selection highlighting, now you can see this in action. So what I've done, as I said, when I click here, open this panel. So if I didn't want to see that, I could go here and I could switch my context and not have to change it. So now I don't have to have that panel open at all, and I can go here and I can make the selection, and I can lift things, and if I want to go here and I want to move things up and down, I want to slide it around, I can go over here. You see already by just sort of abstracting this just a tiny bit, I've now made it easier for animators to stay in context and move things around. And it looks like I actually put the wrong one on the wrong faces, but I can fix that. But you can see what I mean. It works really cleanly, and you can easily come through here and then kill out your channels. And it doesn't mean that we don't still have the need for some helper scripts and things to be able to drop keys and wipe keys and things like that. But that right there is kind of our first step. Now, MODO has two UI kind of ideas. There's this channel set. There's also a channel haul, upsides and downsides, right? With this, it's really easy to keep this bad boy up, and I keep munging, and I can go and I can change my context by making these clickings. The channel haul interface, let me show you what that is. And I'd have to viz these to show it, so I'll do that just real briefly. So the channel haul interface is saying, hey, if I click on this, then I get this little handle. Now, what's the difference? Well, this is a tool as far as MODO is concerned. So it allows me to do some things, but also prevents me from doing some things. With this, I can't dynamically switch between my command regions, right? But what I can do is say I want to work on two channels at the same time. So it allows you to multi-select and multi-edit where the channel set doesn't, right? So depending on the workflow involved and depending which animator is working, they may choose either one. So you can't have more than one command in the command region without getting really complicated. And I'll say this, my intention for these rigs is that you can get an assembly preset, double click on it and add it, and you have everything that you need to work, instead of having to have a bunch of scripts and things going, which means I'm sort of limiting myself in some ways, but I think the flexibility of being able to just drag and drop will be a bigger win overall. So keep that in mind. All right, so how do I get around this? So what I did is I created a picker. So now if I want, I can use this picker and say, hey, I want this to open up, and it will pop up in this view, but as soon as I change my context, now I have this channel list. But let's say I want to do the hall interface instead. I can go over here and I can click this, and it switches my context. So now when I click this, I actually get the hall interface. So now, and this is all contained in the assembly preset, which is pretty cool. So you have a choice when you are adding these command regions to your character. Does your animator, or do you like to have channel sets as your kind of UI interface, or do you like the channel hall interface? So I gave you the option for both, and it's you just use this UI here and you click on it, and it switches between which one this sets. So this case I'm clicking on sets. If I click here, and now it's lit up, now I'm going to get the channel hall command. So, you know, I hijack the command regions and set up. And again, this is all just self-contained, so drag and drop and it's in there. But okay, let's go back here and turn this off because I don't want to see it anymore. So the third way to interact with your rig is what MODO calls a channel handle. And what this is a special type of locator that you can customize so that when you click and drag on it, it will transfer the values from your mouse movement to whatever channels that you want. What's cool about this is that these can exist independent of either type of channel hall versus channel set. So I've got a global control for that. Let me go to my picker here. And if I do this, now I have channel handles. Now these guys, if I click on them, right, this allows me to quickly control and edit this as if I clicked on this, popped open this, and did that. It's the same thing. You also notice that they're moving along with them. So these are already pre-set up and wired into or added to all the different weight containers so that once you put them in the right place and you adjust them, they will move along with your rig. So they get pushed and pulled around, so no matter where you are, you can always click and drag it. So let's take a look at what that is. First, before we do that, let's fit these guys. And I don't have a fitting UI set up quite yet, but I do kind of know what I want. So I'm going to go to the top view here, and let's take the mouth main, and let's just move this into place. I kind of want to be in front of the mouth. The left corner, I want it to be right about here. Actually, let's do this. We'll take this for dragging this out. Let's do the left cheek, which isn't wired up for this example, but I'm just going to put it over here. And then the left tweak, I want this to be sort of like right here, because this is where the twist is going to be. Right? So now I've got these handles, and I can play around with how far out they are from things. And I'm going to tweak the size. So if I grab my, I go to my main assembly channels, I can now play with the scale factor of these so that they look a little bit bigger. So I'm going to do this just so they're easier to see. I'll bring my picker back up because at any time I can turn them on and off. But now let's see what we get. So if I go here, I can pull my channel up. I can drag the channel over. If I want to go here, I can adjust my twist. I can play around with the side. I can lift this up. And what I can do too is to turn this selection rollers off. And it's going to be a setting there, but now I can tweak this. So this will bring this in and out. This little guy here is my little tiny shift. So if I want, I can go here. Let's go ahead and pull this up, and we'll add a little twist there. And then I'm going to twist the mouth a little bit, and then we'll go and pull this thing up and down. You can see how nice that is. Again, with this setup, I can do this. So now, what does my animator get to do? My animator can seriously just focus on making things move and animate in context. And I'm going to create a little key command. That I'm not going to get away with 100% everything inside the assembly. But then you can just toggle these guys' visibility on and off so that you can pull things around. So let's do this. Let's pull the mouth, pull it around this way. Right? So anyway, this is and what's cool is you can tune the sensibility, or you can tune the sensitivity of these so that you get a kind of a common flow, or a natural movement. I move my mouse and I get as much movement relative into the rig as I want. And because, and I'll finish on this, everything is designed around working. Let me show this values here. So let's go to the actual channel sets UI. Actually, I can do that here. Don't even need to open that up. Turn this up, and let's bring this up here. This is designed around the maximum of anything is 100. And you can already see this is too much. So I can set this to 100, and then in my rig interface, what I can do, and kind of backtracking here just a tiny bit, I think it's interesting stuff though. I can go to my mouse scale factors, and I can say that at 100, this is too high. So if I look at my mouth lift, so there you go, mouth corner lift, I can tweak this down and say, okay, this is what I actually want 100 to be. So that when I am adjusting this value now, right, that 100 puts me in a more comfortable range. And because the rig is set up all the way through to allow you to tweak what 100 means, once you've everything tuned up and mouth opens and lip moves and the whole face, you can copy and paste animation from one character to another and you don't have to worry about it. And because these controls are always being mapped into this 0 to 100, no matter what the scale of the character is, my channel handles are always going to work as I expect. So any character that you drop in and tweak, all your channel handlers are going to work at the comfort level that you expect everything to be. Also, we have that master control. Let me go back here just for funsies, right? So this turns these on and off. But if I go here, I can say, you know, I don't want to see the left corner handles, and you can turn these off one at a time. So you have the ability to turn them all on and all off, and they'll be broken up into zones like face, body, and whatever. And then you can say, well, I don't actually want to see the cheek one, so let me grab the cheek control here and say I don't want to see. Oh, that's the corner. Let me actually grab the right one. It's because I had that open there. What am I doing? I don't even have it set up right. So yeah, never mind about that. I can go here, do it through the groups. This is good. I'm finding bugs in my rig. By the time you guys get your hands on this stuff, it will be all nice and clean. So let's do the left cheek, and let's turn that off. There we go. So I clearly had my command region assignments not quite right. But anyway, you can see what's going on here and how nice this is. And like, I'm going to play with this. I think this circle needs to be a little smaller so it's easier to grab these guys. And this actually should be behind, and it isn't, like this. So that's just a matter of me tweaking these things up and getting them clean. But anyway, pretty cool stuff. I think this will make animating these characters a lot easier. So it's the combination of all these parts put together, right? You want to make fitting the character as easy as possible for the fitting TD. You saw that in the last video. We could pick things up, pull them out around them. Then you go into the weighting interface, which is part of the fitting, right? You fit the rig, then you've got to weight the rig. And then there's sculpting, which is on top of that, or the shape correction UI. So then I can make the mouth corner do what it needs to do and all this other stuff. Get the basic shaping working. And then on the final is how do you give an interface to your animator that makes it easy for them to just animate, make shapes, make performances, and not have to worry about any of this other stuff. So as a master rigger, you have to think about both the construction, the fitting, and the deployment of the rig. What I'm hoping to give to anybody that gets the RMC, Rigging Master Course 3, is that you're going to get these rigs. I'm going to teach you how to fit them, and I'm going to teach you how to build them. So you'll be able to do, if you don't want to think about the technical side, I'll teach you very clearly how to fit these things, and you can be off to the races just making shapes, and animators can be animating. It could be you or somebody on your staff or a team of people making a short film, whatever. And if you want to learn how to construct the rigs, you'll be able to do that too. So anyway, animation interface for the mouth rig. Pretty cool stuff.